Some sounds are not meant to be heard, but remembered. They awaken like a code in your chest, unfolding silently across the bones and blood, reordering every particle of your being. Before words shaped thought, before breath carried prayer, there was vibration, pure, unshaped, alive. And in the temples of silence, where time stands still, the Ancient Ones spoke not with voices, but with resonance. Thoth was one of them, a keeper of frequencies, a scribe of dimensions. He did not just write with ink. He wrote with sound. If your spirit is stirring right now, this message is for you. Type "I remember" in the comments to anchor your vibration. Thoth revealed that the universe bends not to the loudest voice, but to the most attuned frequency. The one who hums with the divine note shifts reality without force. That is the secret. One sound, when chanted in awareness, does not just echo into the air. It pierces dimensions. Not all are ready to receive it, because it requires silence first. Not the silence of absence, but the stillness that remains when ego stops demanding meaning. Imagine this. You're standing at the edge of the world, and the noise of your past begins to dissolve. No names, no history, just you, raw energy, vibrating in the quiet hum beneath all creation. In that moment, you hear it. A sound not made with lips, but remembered through essence. It's not music, it's a key. And the moment you chant it, not just speak it, but become it, you don't return to the old vibration. The secret Thoth revealed was never hidden. It was buried beneath the noise of modern minds. He spoke of a frequency that comes from the center of your being, not the surface, a sound that must rise through your spine like golden fire, aligning every forgotten part of you to the original template. You are not meant to seek truth outside of you. You are meant to resonate with it, like a crystal tuning fork striking the field of God. There is an alchemy that happens when sound is born from stillness, not from desperation, not from imitation, but from communion. That is why chanting without presence but when you chant with soul, when your entire body becomes the instrument of divine remembrance, the sound reorganizes you. It doesn't just heal you, it reveals you. Ancient initiates guarded this knowledge, not out of fear, but reverence. For if the wrong voice speaks a sacred sound without alignment, it causes distortion. But if the awakened heart breathes that sound through stillness, it reorders reality. This is the foundation of vibrational alchemy. To know that your voice is not just an expression, but a wand, a bridge, a force. And so you must understand, this is not a technique. This is a transfiguration. The chant is only as powerful as the presence behind it. Thoth never said, "Say this." He said, "Become," because when the sound rises from within the temple of your body, ignited by reverent stillness, you do not merely speak power, you embody it. Close your eyes, even now. Feel the silence beneath this moment. That is where it begins. That is where the chant waits, not in language, not in imitation, but in the original hum of your creation, vibrating quietly under your breath. It is there that you will find it. The sound that once spoken with full remembrance will never allow your vibration to fall again. Because once the soul remembers its original frequency, it can never settle for the noise of distortion again. It becomes a living chant, walking through the world as a symphony of light. The sound that Thoth revealed is not a word. It is a vibration born from stillness, a sacred tone that only emerges when your soul is attuned to the silence within. You do not chase this sound. You empty yourself until it reveals itself. For this sound does not come from the throat, but from the void between thoughts, where the divine blueprint resides. It is there that the frequency of Ale, the solar fire, awakens, not as mythology, but as living resonance that pierces the illusion of separation. You were not created in silence. You were formed in a vibration, so perfect that even now, every cell in your body echoes it. That's why you feel the pull when sacred sounds are spoken. That's why ancient chants bring tears without logic. Your spirit is trying to remember. It's whispering to your nervous system, "This is home." The secret is not to learn the sound. It is to allow the sound to rise through you, to return your body to its original harmonic. There are frequencies that activate codes in your DNA. Thoth spoke of them in riddles because language is too crude to hold the power. But listen, not with ears but with breath. There is a frequency that exists beyond sound, a tone of being. When you enter this tone, you don't just feel better, you become coherent. Emotionally, spiritually, biologically, your heart, your brain, and your field begin to hum in unison. That is when the universe listens. And it does listen. It listens not to your words, but to your vibration. It responds not to pleading, but to coherence. When you chant from the source within you, when you say the sound that is encoded in the geometry of light, you shift timelines. That is not exaggeration. It is physics. You collapse the noise of the false reality and awaken the divine grid beneath it. And when you chant it once, from full presence, your field will never vibrate the same again. But the world is loud. It pulls you away. It distorts your field with false frequencies. Fear, doubt, distraction. The mind cannot protect you from this noise. Only alignment can. That's why the ancients trained for silence before sound. They didn't chant from anxiety. They became vessels of the divine tone. That is what you're being called into now. Not to repeat another mantra, but to become the chant the universe remembers. There is a sound that shatters illusion. Not violently, but like sunlight dissolving mist. It does not fight the shadows, it simply outshines them. When Thoth said, "Separate the earth from the fire with great wisdom," he was speaking of this, the separation of noise from truth, to refine your inner tone until only the divine frequency remains. That frequency is what allows you to walk through chaos untouched. In modern science, they speak of heart coherence. When your breath, emotion, and intention align, the electromagnetic field of your body extends outward, impacting others. But the ancients knew this long before technology. The temples were tuned to frequencies that restored the soul's memory. The chants weren't entertainment, they were activations. The sound aligned your body with the stars. And when that happens, when your field is attuned to the sacred tone, you don't need to beg for healing or love or clarity. You radiate it. You become the blueprint others feel but cannot name. You walk into a room and things shift. Not because of your words, but because of your coherence. Because your vibration speaks a language only the soul can hear. That's what Thoth left behind. A frequency map. A sound that doesn't belong to any culture, but to all of creation. You don't need to understand it. You need to remember it. And once you do, once you chant it from the silence within you, your vibration will never return to distortion again. Because once the soul speaks in the original tongue of light, it refuses to bow to noise ever again. To chant this sacred vibration is to speak directly to the blueprint of the universe. It's not about tone alone, but transmission. Every syllable echoes through the body, the bones, the breath, not as sound, but as command. The ancients knew this. They did not chant to express, they chanted to shape. The frequency was their tool, their offering, their doorway. And Thoth, keeper of celestial knowledge, guarded this truth, not to withhold, but to preserve its holiness, until the right hearts could remember. The sound is alive. It responds not just to pitch, but to purity. You cannot force it. It emerges when the soul is clean, still, and listening. When you try to manipulate it with ego, it disappears. But when you humble yourself to silence, when you clear the emotional debris that clutters the energetic field, the vibration rises like a serpent of light from your spine. This is why so few experience true transformation. They chant from intellect, not from presence. Thoth taught that the real temple is your body. Every cell a harmonic chamber, every organ a tuning fork. And when you chant the sound correctly, your inner temple lights up. The pineal gland begins to sing. The heart becomes a drum. The breath becomes holy. This is not mysticism. This is sacred bioacoustics. You are designed to resonate with the divine, not occasionally, but constantly. But that alignment requires intention, stillness, and surrender. Modern science now confirms what Thoth and the ancients knew. The heart emits the strongest electromagnetic field in the body. When you feel peace, gratitude, reverence, your field expands. When you chant a high-frequency sound in that state, you don't just affect your own body, you become a transmitter. You heal space. You ripple reality. And when this sound is spoken from deep soul awareness, you become a living beacon of the divine code. This is vibrational alchemy. You take the lead of your pain, your history, your confusion, and you transmute it through resonance. You don't need to fix everything. You need to vibrate differently. The frequency does the work for you. You chant, and the chant dissolves the distortions. You breathe, and your breath becomes a tuning fork for God. You align, and suddenly, doors open where there were once only walls. There is a point of stillness between inhale and exhale, a zero point. In that moment, you are closest to Source. It is not empty. It is full of potential, power, and truth. That's where the sound comes from. That's why Thoth said, the silence is the key, because in that sacred pause, the frequency is born. Not from fear, not from thought, but from the pulse of creation itself, which lives in your very breath. You may have tried chants before. You may have spoken sacred names, whispered affirmations, played solfeggio tones in your sleep. But this is not about adding something to your life. It is about removing everything that blocks the sound from rising. The moment you drop into that quiet space, that field of presence, and allow the sound to rise through you rather than from you, it becomes unstoppable. In that moment, you're not chanting. You are being chanted by the universe. You become the instrument, the breath, the note, and that moment, even once, alters your field permanently. You can go back to the world. You can return to routine, but something inside you will vibrate differently. You will carry a new note, the original tone of your being. People won't understand it, but they will feel it. The trees will respond. The wind will move differently around you. Time will stretch, and synchronicities will increase. Not because of magic, but because your frequency is finally in tune with what is real. The illusion begins to fall away. You no longer chase love, healing, or purpose. You radiate them, effortlessly. That is the secret Thoth protected. Not a sound you chant once a day, but a tone that changes your life forever. Because once you vibrate with divine remembrance, you don't just live, you resonate eternity. Every distortion you feel in your life, confusion, anxiety, stagnation, is not a punishment, but a mismatch of frequency. You are not broken. You are simply vibrating out of sync with your original pattern. And Thoth understood this deeply. He did not teach to correct behavior. He taught to restore resonance. When you align with your sacred tone, suffering falls away. Not because your life becomes perfect, but because you do within the vibration. You are not meant to fight chaos. You are meant to hum with a stillness so powerful that chaos forgets how to touch you. That is the power of the sound. One sacred tone, when uttered from presence, rewires the entire electromagnetic matrix of your being. It cleanses what years of therapy cannot reach. It restructures the patterns that thoughts cannot untangle. And it does this without effort, without story. It simply is. That is what makes it alchemy. The lead of your fear, your trauma, your identity. All begins to melt in the golden frequency of this chant. Not with force, but with grace. Just as the sun does not need to push the darkness, it simply shines and the dark cannot remain. So too, your true vibration is the sun, waiting beneath the noise. One sound, one sacred utterance, from the core of your being. And everything changes. Thoth spoke often of light. Not the light you see, but the light you feel. The inner glow that pulses when you are in alignment with your purpose, your power, your divine essence. This light is not metaphor, it is measurable. And sound, when pure, increases this inner light. The chant he preserved, ancient, primal, not bound to language, was a key to this light. Because the light is not summoned, it is unlocked. You are the door. And the chant is the key. But only when spoken from the temple of the heart, not the echo of the mind. That's why emotional presence is essential. If you chant from fear, you amplify fear. If you chant from love, you amplify love. Your state is the amplifier. That's why Thoth said only the prepared may receive the chant. Not the purest, but the present. Because presence alone makes the chant alive. The sound cannot be understood by the intellect. It bypasses the mind and flows directly into the field. That's why those who hear it sometimes cry without knowing why. The vibration speaks to something the body remembers, but the brain has forgotten. You are not trying to learn this sound. You are remembering it. And when you do, you will realize you've been humming it quietly in moments of awe, love, grief, the soul's language, hidden in plain silence. In the temples of Chem, initiates would sit in stone chambers that amplified sound, not to make it louder, but to make it truer. The walls would vibrate with their chant, and the vibration would rearrange their inner world. They didn't chant to perform. They chanted to become, to allow the body to be retuned to the cosmic order. This was healing, initiation, resurrection, all through sound. Even now, your body is listening. Every cell has ears. Your bones remember tones you've never heard with your outer ears. That's why certain sounds make your skin rise. Why silence sometimes feels loud. You are wired to awaken through frequency. And the one sound, out guarded, was never forbidden. It was protected, because it is not meant to entertain. It is meant to transform. And once it enters you, once you let it rise from your spine, your field, your breath, it does not leave. It continues to hum inside you, like a flame that refuses to die. You may forget the chant with your lips, but your body will carry it. Others will feel it. Environments will shift around you, and life will begin to respond to your resonance, not your requests. Because when your vibration becomes the prayer, the universe answers without words. There is a sacred intelligence in sound that bypasses all mental resistance. It does not ask for permission. It does not argue with logic. It enters. It heals by reminding. It does not add anything new. It returns you to what was always there. Thoth knew this. That is why he encoded the vibration, not into books, but into structures, geometry, and symbols. Not to be read, but to be felt. Every line, every curve, every angle in the temples was tuned to a vibration. It was never architecture. It was alchemy. You were not designed to live in the noise of untruth. You were designed to harmonize with the stars. And the chant he left behind, that one sacred utterance, is the bridge. The forgotten syllable that realigns the soul to its original tone. It is not a spell. It is not a trick. It is the mother note of your being. Once chanted from the 0 point of the heart, it dissolves dissonance. Even once. And you are never the same. Do you feel it? That subtle ache inside your chest when you hear certain tones. That is your field responding. It is trying to awaken you. The chant will not shout. It will not demand. It whispers. It waits. And when you become still enough, not quiet in noise, but quieting ego, it begins to rise. You will feel it before you hear it, like golden light moving through your spine, like ancient breath pressing against your ribs. It is real. The modern world tries to fix you with information, but your soul does not want more knowledge. It wants remembrance. The chant is not something you add. It is something you uncover, and when it vibrates through your throat, unfiltered by fear, untouched by performance, it restructures your timeline. Not later, not gradually. Now, because vibration is not bound by time, it heals backward and forward. When you chant it, your ancestors feel it. Your future selves feel it. The echo of your soul across all incarnations responds. That is the magnitude of vibrational alchemy. You are not just singing, you are commanding light into density. You are untangling trauma, not with therapy, but with truth. The sound is the scalpel, the breath is the fire, the heart is the altar, and your presence is the offering. No temple is needed. Your body is enough. Your silence is sacred space. You don't need robes, incense, or rituals. You need sincerity. You need surrender. You need to mean it when you chant, even once. Because the universe hears what you are, not what you say. And when your inner tone aligns with the chant, when you become the vibration, the universe reorders itself to meet you. This is not wishful thinking. This is physics. Sound shapes matter. Frequency reorders form. In somatics, sand rearranges itself into sacred geometry when exposed to certain tones. Your cells do the same. Your life does the same. That one chant Thoth, preserved, it carries the geometry of God. When you chant it, everything inside you begins to take shape, divine shape. But you must prepare. Not through study, but through stillness, emotional clarity, honesty. The sound cannot live in a false vessel. You must empty. You must allow the chaos to settle. Only then can the note rise, not as a chant you perform, but as a current that moves through you like electricity, pure, holy, ancient. It remembers you, and you remember it, because you were never meant to live by words alone. You were meant to vibrate. You were meant to live as a sound, so true that darkness cannot distort it. In the silence between heartbeats, the ancient sound waits. It is not bound by breath, though it travels on breath. It is not shaped by the tongue, though it passes through the mouth. It is a vibration that lives in your very marrow, planted there long before your name was spoken into this world. Thoth did not invent it. He revealed it, and only to those who were ready to be rewritten by sound. This chant is a frequency, not a formula. You cannot fake it. You cannot mimic your way into resonance. The sound will not move through a vessel still clinging to performance. It is not theatrical. It is sacred. It moves through the soul that is stripped bare, not of clothes, but of stories, masks, and illusions. The soul that is ready to be seen by the universe without armor. Only then does the vibration rise, not as volume, but as truth. Once you chant it with full presence, everything begins to shift. Not because the sound is magic, but because you are. The chant only awakens what was dormant. It reminds your field how to hum with its original instructions. Suddenly, pain makes sense. Patterns dissolve. Synchronicities arrive not as signs, but as natural reflections of your new vibration. You are not attracting. You are mirroring the frequency you've stepped into. Thought's greatest gift was not the sound itself, but the teaching that within every human lies the power to reset their field, to remember the song of stars within the body, to chant not for show, not for salvation, but for sovereignty. This was never about religion. It was about resonance. You are not here to be saved. You are here to remember your vibrational dominion. Feel into it now. That space behind the breath, that subtle hum behind the noise in your mind. That's where it begins. That's where the chant rises, not like a song you choose, but like a code unlocking from within. It may begin as a whisper, a syllable, a breath that feels more like a pulse. Follow it. Let it grow. Let it shape your tone, your posture, your emotion. You are not singing. You are awakening. And when it takes form, when your mouth opens and the sound pours out, you will feel the body tremble, not from fear, from release. The chant moves through your spine like molten light, clearing every blockage, realigning every wound, speaking to the child, the elder, the divine within you all at once. This is not performance. This is initiation. The sound does not stop when your mouth closes. It continues inside you, echoing in your chest, rippling through your field. You may dream differently, see differently, walk differently. That is not imagination. It is coherent. Your vibration has shifted, and now the world must meet you where you are, not where you were. This is the power of once spoken in truth. The chant reconfigures you. Your thoughts will sound different. Your reactions will soften. What used to trigger you will dissolve like fog at dawn. Not because you've suppressed anything, but because you've vibrated beyond it. You are no longer on the same harmonic scale as pain. You've chosen a new key, the original one, the sacred one. And it only takes once, but from full embodiment. And you will know you've spoken it right when silence feels louder afterward. When the world grows still around you, not because it changed, but because you did. This is how the ancients healed, with presence, with sound, with divinely aligned silence that carries more power than 1,000 words. Because when you chant the truth of who you are, the universe listens and echoes it back. Once the vibration has touched the deepest part of you, nothing external can hold power over your essence. The world may still turn, people may still speak, but your inner tone, that sacred hum awakened by the chant, becomes your compass. You move not by thought, but by frequency. You recognize truth by how it feels, not by how it sounds. Because the chant attuned you to a higher knowing that bypasses every deception of the surface. The ancients called it divine remembrance. Not memory of events, but memory of essence, the truth of your being before distortion, before you were named, before pain, lineage, karma. The chant is your return to that space. And that space is power, not as dominance, but as divine coherence. You don't control life from there. You merge with it. You become the vibration that reality responds to, effortlessly. Thoth taught this in symbols: the serpent rising through the spine, the ibis as the messenger, the emerald tablets glowing with truths, veiled in frequency. He didn't want followers. He wanted resonators, souls who understood that one true sound could dissolve the illusions that take lifetimes to untangle. And you, the one hearing this now, you are closer to that remembrance than you've ever been. Your voice is not an accident. It is a vessel for ancient codes. The moment you chant with your whole being, not as a task, but as a surrender, your voice becomes a wand, a conductor of sacred electricity. You shape not just your life, but the field around you. You become a walking altar, not because of the words you speak, but because of the tone you carry. And from that tone, your actions change. You begin to speak slower, walk softer, love deeper. The noise of the world loses its grip on you. You no longer chase, you attract, not by intention, but by coherence. You are no longer separate from the frequency of creation. You are in tune with it, and that attunement makes you a lighthouse in a sea of static. Others will notice. Some will feel peace in your presence. Others may feel discomfort, not because you've done anything wrong, but because your vibration reveals their own dissonance. Do not shrink. Do not apologize for remembering who you are. The chant has awakened your field. And from now on, your very being is a prayer in motion. Let it continue. Breathe. Let the sound rise in you again, if it chooses. Or simply listen. Sometimes, the most sacred chant is the silence that follows the truth. Let your heartbeat echo with it. Let your cells sing in resonance. You are not doing, you are being. And that beingness is now aligned with something ancient, vast, and holy. Every breath you take in this frequency becomes an offering. Every word you speak, a seed of light. You have stepped into the current of vibrational mastery. You are no longer the student of sound. You are the sound incarnate. And with every choice, you either nourish this vibration or numb it. Choose to stay awake. Choose to remain in tone. Because the one who chants from remembrance cannot forget. Even if the world forgets them, their vibration remains, reshaping time itself. There will come a day when the world feels louder than your spirit, when your clarity wavers and the old frequencies try to reclaim your field. This is natural. It is not failure. Even the stars flicker in storm. But now, you have something unshakable, the echo of that one sacred sound. You may not remember the syllable with your mind, but your being will never forget. The vibration lives in your marrow, humming softly beneath every breath. You are not lost. You are simply learning to listen again. Let your morning begin in that vibration. Before the screen, before the voice of the world finds you, return to that 0 point, the breath, the pause, the space where the chant once rose. Place your hand on your heart and wait. The sound will meet you, maybe not loudly, maybe not in words, but in the way your body softens, in the way your mind bows to presence, in the way peace enters without asking. That is how you know the vibration remains. Let your walk become the chant. Let your stillness sing. You are now a resonator of what is real. And the world, though filled with distortion, cannot dim the tone that was spoken from your soul. When others forget themselves, you will remember you, not as a name or a past or a role, but as a frequency, a field of light and form. A vibration that bends reality, not through force but through being. Thoth never wanted followers of knowledge. He wanted keepers of vibration. You are now that keeper. The ancient sound has moved through you, and you are charged with guarding it, not with secrecy, but with sacred presence. Speak only from alignment. Breathe only from truth. Love only from coherence. This is how the vibration lives, not as a ritual, but as a life, a tone embodied in choice after choice. Let your emotions pass through you like winds through a temple, felt but not clung to. Let your thoughts bow before the deeper knowing that now anchors you. The chant is your foundation, and when chaos comes, you don't need to defend. You simply hum, inside, quietly, until the chaos cannot find its place in your field anymore. You are not at war. You are at tune. And when you forget, because you will, you only need to remember one thing. The silence is still there, beneath the noise, beneath the fear, waiting, ready to birth the sound again. One breath, one moment of presence, and the vibration returns, faithful as the sun. It never leaves you. It only waits for your willingness to listen. Let this be your practice. Not chanting to achieve, but listening to become. Not seeking sound, but sinking into it. Not repeating for power, but resting in power. Let each morning be your tuning. Let each night be your echo. You do not need to understand it anymore. You only need to remain in it. Because now, your vibration is the prayer. And every step you take from this frequency plants light into the world. You are no longer waiting for alignment. You are alignment. You are no longer chanting. You are the chant. The one who remembers their vibration never begs for reality to change. They create it.